meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a big bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The big bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.
On the freaking Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's doing well. We've got a great show. Law of One. I love this stuff. I think what we're going through right now is one of the biggest movements in the history of this planet. And I'm glad you guys are a part with me. I'm glad you guys are actually, I feel like I joke a lot. I mean, it's kind of stupid and it's kind of really minimizing what we all do, but it's just my way of like dealing with it. But like I'm just guy holding a flashlight, right? It's like, oh, it's over there. That's where you want to go. You know, like I'm doing my best to help everybody. We've got a great one tonight. So excuse me, session 65 and 66. Session 65, Catalyst today. We're going through, it's the end. It's the graduate, not the end. It's the graduation. It's the harvest, whatever. It's so everything's going to kind of go to the extreme. And a lot of us, I think that when seen the movie are like, it's getting a little freaky. It's like, yeah, it's going to be. So understand the other people, it's meant really kind of for them. And you guys are kind of the ones that are helping them like not freak out too much. We manifest faster right now. That's just for sure. So what you think, say, and do is happening quicker in your life. Very important thing to keep in mind and pay attention to, frankly. So this is also kind of sort of in there. Future. The future is something that's not written yet. What happens tomorrow, there's decisions that are going to happen prior to that moment when you experience that right now that you're worried about. Future has not happened yet. Always. It's why a lot of times I waste zero time spending on the future because it's really more about shaping the thinking process right now. What you think, say, do is what you're creating for the future. If you and I and all of us are working together, we can actually create a better future. But if we let other people tell us, oh, no, everything's dire. Oh, Three-Eye Alice is going to get us, like whatever it is, like whatever the thing is. Oh, no, like cow farts, like whatever it is, right? They're all going to get us. And the rhythm will get you if you pay attention to it too. It will. So we are in a place right now where they're trying to stop us. They're trying to keep us in a little box. And most of us are expanding out of that. And it's funny to hear, like, again, this was recorded in 81, 80, whatever it is. And here we are, 40 years later? This is, to me, interesting. And this is why I think it's so cool to share it with you guys now, to be with you now, to do this now. So future hasn't happened. We're shaping it every day. They tell us what they want us to believe. That's what these stories do. Pay attention. Again, for you guys, you're the special elite. You guys are like the Ninja Warriors. You're like the elite, Team 7, the SEAL Team 7. You're the one that nobody even knows about. Nobody knows about. We are changing things because we don't buy their nonsense. The future hasn't happened. We shape that. That's you and I. We're here to help other people think better. What we think, what we say, what we do. It's what we create. It's in this, it's baked in there. MK Ultra, kind of, sort of mentioned. And then prophecies are kind of a sort of a correlation that goes into that too. The way prophecies are, a lot of us, it gets us thinking in a certain way. The news tells us a certain thing. Like, it gets us thinking, feeling. These are the two most important things when it comes to manifestation. Thinking and feeling. The feelings, like power. So they get you feeling and thinking a certain way. They control you. That's MK Ultra. It's happening right in front of your face, yet we walk through it. So prophecies, and again, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying what choice, they make a great analogy. You go into a number of different grocery stores. Some stores have good sales. Some grocery stores, they don't have a sale on that product, or maybe they're out of that product, or maybe they don't carry it. So you go to a different store to get that thing. You got 98% of everything over here, but over there, that was where you got it. And their point is in the future, we know for sure you're going to get all your things. Don't know what stores you're necessarily going to get them from, because that's an array of possibilities. So many people think the future is fixed. It's not. No, that's the point. One of the biggest things I'm trying to help everybody here learn. And let's see, polarity. So important. Yeah, prophecy, polarity. We're going to, because there's service to self, the service to self wants to control others. Those of us that are being controlled because of programming are the other side of that. This is a perfect harvest. The pulling apart, the yin yang, it is happening right now. So again, this is awesome. They talk a little about, again, this is 25 years later. This is so cool, I think, to me. Them, us, and the harvest. Like we're going through this, right? And a lot of people are going to be confused. A lot of people are going to be uplifted by the thoughts you have. And that's exactly where we're going to go. So we've got a number of good things going on. And I think we've got the right people in place. I think you guys are power hitters. And we're going to start with session 65. Again, that's what I just kind of covered, I think. 66 gets into some cool stuff with healing. Yeah, really big time with healing. And I think we're going to have a good time with that. But all said, session 65 on the Fringe. One, session 65, recorded August 8th, 1981. Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner. Could you first please give us an indication of the instrument's condition and the level of vital and physical energies? Ra. I am Ra. This instrument's vital energies are as previously stated. The physical energies are greatly distorted towards weakness at this space-time due to the distortion complex is symptomatic of that which you call the arthritic condition. The level of psychic attack is constant, but is being dealt with by this instrument in such a way as to eliminate serious difficulties due to its fidelity and that of the support group. Questioner. I may be recovering a little ground already covered in previous questions today, but I am trying to get a clearer picture of some things that I don't understand and possibly develop a plan of my own for activity in the future. I have the impression that in the near future, the seeking will increase by many who now are incarnate in the physical world. Their seeking will increase because they will become more aware of the creation as it is opposed, I might say, to the creation of man. Their orientation and their thinking will, by catalyst of a unique nature, be reoriented to thinking of a more basic concept, shall I say. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. The generalities of expression can never be completely correct. However, we may note that when faced with a hole in the curtain, an entity's eyes may well peer for the first time through the window beyond. This tendency is probable given the probability vortices active within your space-time and time-space continua at this nexus. Questioner, I have assumed that the reason that so many wanderers and those harvested third density entities who have been transferred here find it a privilege and an exceptionally beneficial time to be incarnate upon this planet is that the effect that I just spoke of gives them the opportunity to be more fully of service because of the increased seeking. Is this, in general, correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is the intention which wanderers had prior to incarnation. There are many wanderers whose dysfunction with regards to the planetary ways of your people have caused, to some extent, a condition of being caught up in a configuration of mind-complex activity, which to the corresponding extent may prohibit the intended service. Questioner, I have noticed that you are speaking more slowly than usual. Is there a reason for this? Ra, I am Ra. This instrument is somewhat weak, and although strong in vital energy and well able to function at this time, is somewhat more fragile than the usual condition we find. We may note a continuing bearing of the physical distortion called pain, which has a weakening effect upon the physical energy. In order to use the considerable store of available energy without harming the instrument, we are attempting to channel even more narrow band than is our wont. Questioner, thank you. Now, have I properly analyzed the condition that creates the possibility of greater service as follows? 1. Seniority by vibration of incarnation has greatly polarized those upon the surface now, and the influx of wanderers has greatly increased the mental configuration, I might say, towards things of a more spiritual nature. This, I would assume, would be one of the factors creating a better atmosphere for service. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner, with the coming changes as we progress into fourth density, and I'm speaking of changes not only in the physical third density planet due to the heating effect, but also the changes that are heralding fourth density vibrations, such as the ability of people to perform what we term paranormal activities. I am assuming that both of these are also and will act as a catalyst to create a greater seeking. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is partially correct. The paranormal events occurring are not designated to increase seeking, but are manifestations of those whose vibratory configuration enables these entities to contact the gateway to intelligent infinity. These entities capable of paranormal service may determine to be of such service on a conscious level. This, however, is a function of the entity and its free will, and not the paranormal ability. The correct portion of your statement is the greater opportunity for service due to the many changes which will offer many challenges, difficulties, and seeming distress within your illusion to many who will then seek to understand, if we may use this misnomer, the reason for the malfunctioning of the physical rhythms of their planet. Moreover, there exists possibility vortices which spiral towards your bellicose actions. Many of these vortices are not of the nuclear war, but of the less annihilatory but more lengthy so-called conventional war. This situation is formed in your illusion would offer many opportunities for seeking and for service. Questioner, how would conventional warfare offer the opportunities for seeking and service? Ra, I am Ra. The probabilities exist for situations in which great portions of your continent and the globe in general might be involved in the type of warfare which you might liken to guerrilla warfare. The ideal of freedom from the so-called invading force of either the controlled fascism or the equally controlled social common ownership of all things would stimulate great quantities of contemplation upon the great polarization implicit in the contrast between freedom and control. In this scenario, which is being considered at this time-space nexus, the idea of obliterating valuable sites and personnel would not be considered a useful one. Other weapons would be used which do not destroy, as your nuclear arms would. In this ongoing struggle, the light of freedom would burn within the mind-body-spirit complexes capable of such polarization. Lacking the opportunity for overt expression of the love of freedom, the seeking for inner knowledge would take root, aided by those of the brothers and sisters of sorrow, which remember their calling upon this sphere. Questioner: are you saying then that this possible condition of war would be much more greatly spread across the surface of the globe than anything we have experienced in the past, and therefore touch a larger percentage of the population in this form of catalyst? Ra: I am Ra. This is correct. There are those now experimenting with one of the major weapons of this scenario, and that is the so-called psychotronic group of devices which are being experimentally used to cause such alterations in wind and weather as will result in eventual famine. If this program is not countered and proves experimentally satisfactory, the methods in this scenario would be made public. There would then be what those whom you call Russians hope to be a bloodless invasion of their personnel in this and every land deemed valuable. However, the peoples of your culture have little propensity for bloodless surrender. Questioner: we would seem to have a dual catalyst operating, and the question is, which one is going to act first? The prophecies, I will call them, made by Edgar Cayce, indicated many earth changes, and I am wondering about the mechanics of describing what we call the future. Ra, it has been stated, is not part of the time, and yet we concern ourselves with probability, possibility vortices. It is very difficult for me to understand how the mechanism of prophecy operates. What is the value of a prophecy such as Cayce made with respect to earth changes with respect to all these scenarios? Ra: I am Ra. Consider the shopper entering the store to purchase food with which to furnish the table for the time period you call a week. Some stores have some items, others a variant set of offerings. We speak of these possibility-probability vortices when asked with the understanding that such are as a can, jar, or portion of a good in your store. It is unknown to us as we scan your time-space whether your peoples will shop hither or yon. We can only name some of the items available for the choosing. The, shall we say, record, which the one you call Edgar Cayce reads from, is useful in that same manner. There is less knowledge in this material of other possibility-probability vortices, and more attention paid to the strongest vortex. We see the same vortex, but also see many others. Edgar's material could be likened unto 100 boxes of your cold cereal, another vortex likened unto 3 or 6 or 50 of another product, which is eaten by your peoples for breakfast. That you will breakfast is close to certain. The menu is your own choosing. The value of prophecy must be realized to be only that of expressing possibilities. Moreover, it must be, in our humble opinion, carefully taken into consideration that any time-space viewing, whether by one of your time-space or by one such as we who view the time-space from a dimension, shall we say, exterior to it, will have a quite difficult time expressing time measurement values. Thus, prophecy given in specific terms is more interesting for the content or type of possibility predicted than for the space-time nexus of its supposed occurrence. Questioner: so we have the distinct possibility of two different types of catalysts creating an atmosphere of seeking that is greater than that which we experience at present. There will be much confusion, especially in the scenario of Earth changes, simply because there have been many predictions of these changes by many groups, giving various and sundry reasons for the changes. Can you comment on the effectiveness of this type of catalyst and the rather wide pre-knowledge of the coming changes, but also the rather wide variation in, shall I say, explanation for these changes? Ra: I am Ra. Given the amount of strength of the possibility-probability vortex, which posits the expression by the planet itself of the difficult birthing of the planetary self into fourth density, It would be greatly surprising were not many which have some access to space-time able to perceive this vortex. The amount of this cold cereal in the grocery, to use our previous analogy, is disproportionately large. Each which prophesies does so from a unique level, position, or vibratory configuration. Thus, biases and distortions will accompany much prophecy. Questioner: well, this entire scenario over the next, shall I say, 20 years seems to be aimed at producing an increase in seeking and an increase in the awareness of the natural creation, but also a terrific amount of confusion. Was it the pre-incarnative objective of many of the wanderers to attempt to reduce this confusion? Ra: I am Ra. It was the aim of wanderers to serve the entities of this planet in whatever way was requested, and it was also the aim of wanderers that their vibratory patterns might lighten the planetary vibration as a whole, thus ameliorating the effects of planetary disharmony and palliating any results of this disharmony. Specific intentions, such as aiding in a situation not yet manifested, are not the aim of wanderers. Light and love go where they are sought and needed, and their direction is not planned aforetimes. Questioner: then each of the wanderers here acts as a function of the biases he has developed in any way he sees fit to communicate, or simply be in his polarity to aid the total consciousness of the planet. Is there any, shall I say, more physical way that he aids in? What I mean is, do the vibrations somehow add, just as electrical polarity or charging a battery or something? Does that also aid the planet, just the physical presence of the wanderers? Ra: I am Ra. This is correct, and the mechanism is precisely as you stated. We intended this meaning in the second portion of our previous answer. You may at this time note that as with any entities, each wanderer has its unique abilities, biases, and specialties, so that from each portion of each density represented among the wanderers comes an array of pre-incarnative talents, which then may be expressed upon this plane, which you now experience, so that each wanderer, in offering itself before incarnation, has some special service to offer, in addition to the doubling effect of planetary love and light, and the basic function of serving as beacon or shepherd. Thus, there are those of fifth density whose abilities to express wisdom are great. There are fourth and sixth density wanderers whose ability to serve as, shall we say, passive radiators or broadcasters of love and love light are immense. There are many others whose talents brought into this density are quite varied. Thus, wanderers have three basic functions once the forgetting is penetrated, the first two being basic, the tertiary one being unique to that particular mind-body-spirit complex. We may note at this point, while you ponder the possibility-probability vortices, that although you have many, many items which cause distress and thus offer seeking and service opportunities, there is always one container in that store of peace, love, and light and joy. This vortex may be very small, but to turn one's back upon it is to forget the infinite possibilities of the present moment. Could your planet polarize towards harmony in one fine, strong moment of inspiration? Yes, my friends. It is not probable, but it is ever possible. Questioner: how common in the universe is a mixed harvest for a planet of both positively and negatively oriented mind-body-spirit complexes? Ra: I am Ra. Among planetary harvests which yield a harvest of mind-body-spirit complexes, appropriately 10% are negative, approximately 60% are positive, and approximately 30% are mixed, with nearly all harvest being positive. In the event of mixed harvest, it is almost unknown for the majority of the harvest to be negative. When a planet moves strongly towards the negative, there is almost no opportunity for the harvestable positive polarizations. Questioner: can you tell me why there is almost no opportunity in that case? Ra: the ability to polarize positively requires a certain degree of self-determination. Questioner: then as these final days of the cycle transpire, if the harvest were to occur now, today, it would have a certain number harvested positively and negatively, and a certain number of repeaters. I am going to assume that because of the catalyst which will be experienced between now and the actual harvesting time, these numbers of harvestable entities will increase. Generally speaking, not particularly with respect to this planet, but with respect to general experience, shall we say, in harvesting, how big an increase in harvestable entities can you logically assume will occur because of the catalyst that occurs in the final period such as this one? Or am I making a mistake in assuming that other planets have added catalyst at the end of the harvesting period when they have a mixed harvest? Ra, I am Ra. In the event of mixed harvest, there is nearly always disharmony and, therefore, added catalyst in the form of your so-called earth changes. In this assumption, you are correct. It is the Confederation's desire to serve those who may indeed seek more intensely because of this added catalyst. We do not choose to attempt to project the success of added numbers to the harvest, for this would not be appropriate. We are servants. If we are called, we shall serve with all of our strength. To count the numbers is without virtue. Questioner. Now, the added catalyst at the end of the cycle is a function specifically of the orientation of the consciousness that inhabits the planet. The consciousness has provided the catalyst for itself in orienting its thinking in the ways that it has oriented it. Thus, acting upon itself the same as catalyst of bodily pain and disease act upon the single mind-body-spirit complex. I made this analogy once before, but reiterate it at this time to clarify my own thinking in seeing the planetary entity as somewhat of a single entity made up of billions of mind-body-spirit complexes. Is my viewpoint correct? Ra. I am Ra. You are quite correct. Questioner. Then we deal with an entity that has not yet formed a social memory complex, but is yet an entity just as one of us can be called a single entity. Can we continue this observation of the, shall I say, conglomerate entity through the galactic entity, or shall I say, small planetary system type of, let me try to phrase it this way. Could I look at a single sun in its planetary system as an entity, and then look at a major galaxy with its billions of stars as an entity? Can I continue this extrapolation in this way? Ra. I am Ra. You can, but not within the framework of third density space-time. Let us attempt to speak upon this interesting subject. In your space-time, you and your peoples are the parents of that which is in the womb. The earth, as you call it, is ready to be born, and the delivery is not going smoothly. When this entity has become born, it will be instinct with the social memory complex of its parents, which have become fourth density positive. In this density, there is a broader view. You may begin to see your relationship to the Logos, or Son, with which you are most intimately associated. This is not the relationship of parents to child, but of Creator, that is, Logos, to the Creator, that is, the mind-body-spirit complex, as Logos. When this realization occurs, you may then widen the field of eyeshot, if you will, infinitely recognizing parts of the Logos throughout the one infinite creation and feeling, with the roots of mind information, the intuition, the parents aiding their planets in evolution in reaches vast and unknown in the creation. For this process occurs many, many times in the evolution of the creation as a whole. Questioner. The wanderer goes through the forgotten process. You mentioned that those who have both third and fourth density bodies activated now do not have the forgetting that the wanderer has. I was just wondering if, say, a sixth density wanderer were here with a third density body activated, would he have gone through a forgetting that was in sections, shall I say, with a forgetting of the fourth, fifth, and sixth densities, as it were, to have his fourth density body activated? He would have a partial additional memory, and then another partial if his fifth were activated, and then the full memory if he had the sixth activated. Does this make any sense? Ra. I am Ra. No. Questioner. Chuckles. Thank you. The forgetting process was puzzling me because you said that the fourth density activated people who were here, who had been harvestable, did not have the same forgetting problem. Could you tell me why the wanderer loses his memory? Ra. I am Ra. The reason is twofold. First, the genetic properties of the connection between the mind-body-spirit complex and the cellular structures of the body is different for third density than for third, fourth density. Secondly, the free will of third density entities needs to be preserved. Thus, wanderers volunteer for third density genetic or DNA connections to the mind-body-spirit complex. The forgetting process can be penetrated to the extent of the wanderer remembering what it is and why it is upon the planetary sphere. However, it would be an infringement if wanderers penetrated the forgetting so far as to activate the more dense bodies and thus be able to live, shall we say, in a godlike manner. This would not be proper for those who have chosen to serve. The new fourth density entities, which are becoming able to demonstrate various newer abilities, are doing so as a result of the present experience, not as a result of memory. There are always a few exceptions, and we ask your forgiveness for constant barrages of the overgeneralizations. Questioner: I don't know if this question is related to what I am trying to get at or not, but I'll ask it and see. You mentioned in speaking of the pyramids that the resonating chamber was used so that the adept could meet the self. Would you explain what he meant by that? Ra: I am Ra. One meets the self in the center, or deeps, of the being. The so-called resonating chamber may be likened unto the symbology of the burial and resurrection of the body, wherein the entity dies to self, and through this confrontation of apparent loss and realization of essential gain, is transmuted into a new and risen being. Questioner: could I make the analogy of, in this apparent death, losing the desire that are the illusory, common desires of third density, and gaining the desires of total service to others? Ra: I am Ra. You are perceptive. This was the purpose and intent of this chamber, as well as forming a necessary portion of the King's Chamber position effectiveness. Questioner: can you tell me what this chamber did to the entity to create this awareness in him? Ra: I am Ra. This chamber worked upon the mind and the body. The mind was affected by sensory deprivation and the archetypal reaction to being buried alive with no possibility of extricating the self. The body was affected both by the mind configuration and by the electrical and piezoelectrical properties of the materials which were used in the construction of the resonating chamber. This will be the last full query of this working. May we ask if there's any brief questions at this time? Questioner: is there anything that we may do to make this instrument more comfortable or improve the contact? Ra: I am Ra. We feel that the instrument is well supported and that all is well. We caution each regarding this instrument's distortions towards pain, for it dislikes sharing these expressions, but as support group, this instrument subconsciously accepts each entity's aid. All is in alignment. You are conscientious. We thank you for this. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, rejoicing in the love and light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, glorifying in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai. So some heavy stuff he drops there, right? Got some questions, excuse me, in chat. By the way, it's on the Fringe, Dan RadioStyle, doing Law of One, session 65. Should do all that nonsense. Conventional versus nuclear, talking about the war. And so, one, nuclear is not allowed. But two, like from a society standpoint, we're like, whoa, the idea where you could kill 50,000 people at one time with a flash, that's ridiculous. But stabbing people, 100 at a time is cool, right? And it's really one of the catalysts that war is offering. And they've sort of drawn it back a little bit so we allow it to continue because, well, it's not hundreds of thousands, right? Like it's kind of a weird thing that we do. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying this is kind of what happens. Psychotronic weapons. This is like weather warfare and stuff like that. It's basically, nutshell, they're talking about back in 80. Meh. Russians were going to be the enemy then. Red Dawn was out shortly after, so this wasn't too far in front of that. The whole concept of possibility, probability, future, basically, the future. Wow, Dan, tell me what the future is. Future is it's a funny thing. Is whoops, let's just remove this from the stage, shouldn't I? Future is not happened yet. So what you and I choose, what you and I think about, what you and I talk about, it matters more than what some guy said 1,000 years ago. He was looking at some crystal ball. He's like, a crystal ball, tell me things. Talking funny with accents, right? Like, and then, okay, cool. And then 1,000 years later, we're like, well, no, I should trust guy with crystal ball, like, because he had an accent. rather than where we are right now. What do we want to experience right now? Who are we right now? I mean, yeah. I likened it to like a whole bunch of us. Like there's 12 of us. I don't know how many of us. Or some of you guys are just not going to make it. You're going to be that guy that bounced off the propeller in Titanic. Remember that guy when his boat split in half? Bill Burr jokes about it. You got to bounce off the propeller. Yeah, that's you. Sorry. Canoe, 12 people. And if we don't all kind of get our stuff together and go in the right direction, we're screwed. We got to get everybody to kind of think the same way. Hey, look, there's blackberry bushes. I don't know. Or there's a bear. Go the other way. Right? Like some way you work together. And that's flashlight holders. That's our manual. It's in there. They do talk about earth changes. Earth changes are coming. What they are, what they represent, I think is going to depend on who's who, frankly, and what you believe. But mostly, I think as a group, what we do is going to have an effect. And I think that's part of what we're going through is that whole uniting process. Like, oh my God, there's this scary thing that's going to happen outside of ourselves. If only we'd come together and work towards it, we'd be okay. And it's getting us, humanity, to stop being pissed because the God you believe in isn't the right one. Like the God I believe in is the correct one, but the one you believe in is the wrong one. Like this whole idea, like this separation that we do of each other. I believe personally there's one source. There's one source. I don't care what you believe. Doesn't matter. There's one source. End of story. So we are going to go through some stuff, and I think we're going to unite, hopefully, as similar beings, similar energies, beings, people. I don't know, locally even. It's like raining right now, which is weird. In California, we have no idea what that is. Broadcasters, that's you guys for a large extent. What you're bouncing out, what you're sending out. Is it helping? Is it moving us in that direction? Is it waking people up? I don't know. You know, that's the funny part. The whole concept of broadcasting is what we're putting out to what they call social memory complex. That is that's like the zeitgeist, you know, when they talk about that. I don't know if that's a phrase like, what's the zeitgeist? All right. Like that's everybody puts out this, like, I believe this bullshit. And then that's accepted as reality. Like if you're the dude that's like, look, I can levitate. Watch, I'm going to levitate off the ground and I'm going to float around the room. If you're the guy that can do that, or girl, probably more likely a girl. If you're the person that can do that, epic. But you're not going to be able to just do that through like Times Square at all, because everybody's realities would be broken. They're not ready for it. The social memory complex can't handle your levitation through or across the water. You know, you're like, hey guys, you're shitting out there above the water. They're like fishing and they're like, how the crap did you? Oh, yeah, water. It's not that easy. Forgetting nod, third, fourth density is what I wrote. Look, here's the thing. A lot of us are wanderers. We came from higher densities. The bodies that we have are already ready for this transition. Don't sweat that. Don't worry about that. You're here to help. You've got a flashlight. I've given you a flashlight. Dude, what you do with that, you know, with great power. It's great responsibility. So we are in a place where we don't remember where we came from. And it'll come to you, hopefully, soon. But we need it. So forgetting is part of this. Land of Nod, they've referred to it as. And third, fourth density. You got both your bodies. The third density body is probably going to get smoked by a tidal wave or something cool like that. But your 4D body, it's not going to matter. So how this plays out, it's really up to what you believe. That's the fun part. What you believe. You believe in some crazy thing, you're going to have some crazy thing. Believe in some like cool thing, like some cool thing will happen. Like it's up to you. It's up to you. That's the fun part about all this. We want to believe it's something crazier, but it's like, no. And then they talk about the resonating chamber. And the reason that's such a significant thing is the resonating chamber is in the Great Pyramid of Giza, the place where, so you'd go in there and there was no noise, complete sensory deprivation. You had no light, no noise. It was comfortable temperature, not hot, not cold. And so you were left to your own mind. And if your own mind went in crazy directions, you'd manifest crazy experiences. If your own mind went into amazing things, then amazing things you would see. And so many people wouldn't survive that. There was people that died from snake bites that actually, there was no snakes anywhere down there, but they died from snake bites. There was people that died from heart attacks. There's people that died from all these crazy things because they weren't ready. Their mind wasn't ready. It amplified so much what was going on inside their noodle already that they weren't ready and they killed themselves. That's why this is kind of, serious stuff, if you will. Not that, you're going to go run in and get into the king's chamber, queen's chamber, or whatever. So all said, the resonating chamber is a big deal in the Great Pyramid of Giza. Okay, I got a bunch of questions. Sorry, guys. Hopefully it's okay. And we will do the live thing, by the way, after. When I close out, I'm going to throw the link for the StreamYard. Anybody that wants to join in, hop in. There's only room for so many, but it's always fun. We're doing this. It's been a new thing. Ruwalt77 question. How do we know if we are wanderers? I know you have covered this before. Please go over this again. Thank you. Thank you. Wanderers are you're going to feel like you've never fit in for the most part. That's the easiest answer I can give you, bro. You're going to feel like I was always like this, like everybody else wanted to, do this. And I'm like, why? Like, you just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You've been in situations a lot in your life where you don't feel like everyone else. And so that wanderers is kind of a lot of us. I sort of come at that from different levels, but I don't know. That's the best answer I got for you. Maggie, question. Do you think that we will be able to read each other's minds in the future? Would it benefit or more than an obstacle for you? We can already do that, Maggie. I knew you were going to ask us. No, I'm just kidding. We can't already do this. There's been a lot of examples of this. Personally, even in my life, I've had a lot of experiences where I've had known one-on-one. But again, this goes back to that whole social memory complex. Like if it's something that you can't handle, you're going to make a different belief in your mind. Like, oh, that's just some random thing, hoodoo. Or if you're somebody that kind of believes in it, it'll be that thing that'll be like, no way, like that's crazy. And then you'll ask questions. And it opens up that portal. So it really depends. All of us, but everybody can do that. It's the way it is. We all mind read. What you broadcast, what you think is a broadcast. Everybody that's sensitive in any way, shape, or form can see, hear, and touch that. Just saying. Already. Yeah. Even the crazy stuff. Let's see. We got another question from Maggie. Question. What are your thoughts on the med beds that have been greatly talked about? Med beds, it comes down to, here's the thing. So this is like, we're going to talk about this specifically. This is kind of a good preface into 66 tonight. Med beds are something that would be wonderful if you were at whole already. If there was a problem in you, like cysts or certain things, to talk about this in the next episode. That's why I say cysts. But if there were things within you that didn't need to be there and they were kind of just there as an obstacle, as a catalyst to sort of remind you of X, Y, and Z, whatever that might be, then those can be imparted and gone and getting rid of. But if you've got disease in the mind, if you're thinking negative thoughts, if you've got negative in your heart, if you will, I don't know, there's a lot of examples of how that could manifest or show itself. If you've got those things going on and I put you in a med bed, yeah, sure, all your cancer's gone. And then what? Because manifesting's happening faster now, you're going to re-manifest cancer like, tomorrow because you're crazy, right? In your mind. I'm not saying you particularly. I'm just saying you in the general, you, giant Y. It's so, unfortunately, med beds are a thing we're not quite ready for. I know they exist. I'll be honest, but we're not ready. When we can finally stop wanting to just kill everybody, kill, like we're so ridiculous. I don't know what it is about us as a culture. It's not you, Maggie. You're very, very nice, lovely lady. Newman, man, 29. Question: was Ra talking about weather manipulation? Yes, for shizzle. Yeah, 100%. Pet, 1985. Question: so what does that mean, mixed? So does the mixed get harvested to negative or to positive? So understanding your question, what he means, I think, is we're going to go through a harvest that's going to have 3D negative graduates, if you will, happening, and 3D positive graduates. And negative positive is kind of an unfair way to state it, but service to self is generally the negative battery terminal, that we'd call it. Service to others is the positive. I only say it that way because ultimately when you get back to 6 density, you come back together and there is only one. There is no negative positives. So again, they're kind of weird misnomers, but they are a different path that ultimately leads back to the same place. That said, mixed negative positive. So the negative is going to go to a whole different experience for 4D negative, and 4D, well, hopefully 40 positive. My understanding, 40 positive, I've heard, is what they say Earth is going to become. I actually believe it's 5D. We're going to, but I don't want to, worry about haggle over stuff like that, right? It's like, so whatever. There's going to be the positive path that can handle their thoughts, and that's really what it comes down to. You got a laser beam on your forehead. Do you constantly keep pointing it at your neighbor, right? Like, do you get it yet? And if we can learn how to control our thoughts to a degree, we're going to make it into this. If not, no, you got to go back to where you can't do harm to other people, because it's just a playground. That's for the lack of a better way to put it. Patriot Daryl, question. It helps if I hold it. Are the wanderers here to be harvested, or are they here to help more entities get harvested? Yeah, we've already been harvested. So if you're already 4th, 50, you already done that, been there, done that. You're here to help. You agreed to that before we came. You're like, no, I want to be a part of this. I want to hold a flashlight. Dude, flashlights are awesome. And you came here to do exactly that. Yes, that's what you're here to do. You're not going to fail. You're not going to not graduate. Like, they're not going to send you back to elementary school, even though you've got a PhD. It ain't gonna play like that. So you'll be good. You'll be good, bro. I think that's what I answered. And yes, we're here to help others get harvested, big time, and experience to some degree. There's a whole slew of, but we know what's going to happen. And we're here to play a part and help as much as we can, but also experience this. This is a unique time in history. And so many of us are just like, what happens next? Like, I want to experience this. What does it feel like? That for me, what does it feel like? I can't wait to find out. Oh, it's going to be exciting. Okay, finally, Ruwalt, and then we're going to go into 66. This is the last question. Would you agree time has been going super fast? It's almost December. Where did the year go? Why is this? I find time speeds up when we're at places where everything's groovy and good, and you kind of gotten the gist of what's up, and it slows down when you've got something to think about. Like, you're like, I need to figure something out. Why is this slowing down? Why does this keep happening? Why is it so like, why that? I find typically those are the moments where there's something germane for you to figure out. And then once you do, it's kind of like, and it goes right back to, ultimately, we're all here to help. And the stuff that's boring and not fun, goes fast. That's why some of us drink from time to time, because it makes it more fun. It's wrong. Do it responsibly. Anyway, whatever the case is, we're going to go into 66. It was a lot of fun. I love this. This is, again, what we talk about on this: healing catalysts, the healer. Now, this is very important, because a lot of people that do healing or get into healing are like, I'm the healer. I got the ability. The healing comes through me. That's untrue. It's not you. You have nothing to do with this. Literally, you're a transitory thing. It's going through you. You are not unique or special. And a lot of healers really want that ego to kick in and be like, no, it's me. Doctors especially, they get a God complex in some cases. No offense to any doctors out there that have God complexes that just got offended right now. Sorry. I didn't mean you. I mean other ones that have, people on that TV show. Whatever the case is. This 66 talks about that. And there is that, the questions, and it comes, you can hear it. I hear it in him. It's I thought I was special because I was a healer, it's that idea. And there's a lot of people out there that I think sometimes get that feeling. And it's something that ego is not good. Ego is the path to the wrong side of things. Ego is not what you listen to. Ego is what ego said this. And you're like, what's the other side? That's how you kind of navigate that. Don't ever go into those waters naked. Yeah. Best I got. That's it. 66. Law of One. I don't know. 1980. It should be on the top screen. Pay attention. You'll see it. 1981, 1984. I don't even know anymore. But that's it. It is on the Fringe. And that's the important part. Yeah. That's what we're doing right here. Here it is. Here it should be. Here it is. One Session 66, recorded August 12th, 1981. Ra, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner, could you give me an indication of the instrument's condition? Ra, I am Ra. The vital energies are somewhat depleted at this time, but not seriously so. The physical energy level is extremely low, otherwise it is as previously stated. Questioner, is there anything that we can do, staying within the first distortion, to seek aid from the Confederation in order to alleviate the instrument's physical problems? Ra, I am Ra. No. Questioner, can you tell me the most appropriate method for attempting to alleviate the instrument's physical problems? Ra, I am Ra. The basic material has been covered before concerning the nurturing of this instrument. We recapitulate the exercise according to ability, not to exceed the appropriateness parameters, the nutrition, the social intercourse with companions, the sexual activity in green ray or above, and in general, the sharing of the distortions of this group's individual experiences in a helpful, loving manner. These things are being accomplished with what we consider great harmony, given the density in which you dance. The specific attention and activities with which those with physical complex distortions may alleviate these distortions are known to this instrument. Finally, it is well for this instrument to continue the practices it has lately begun. Questioner, which practices are those? Ra, I am Ra. These practices concern exercises which we have outlined previously. We may say that the variety of experiences which this entity seeks is helpful, as we have said before, but as this instrument works in these practices, the distortion seems less mandatory. Questioner, I would like to investigate the mechanism of healing using the crystallized healer. I am going to make a statement, and I would appreciate it if you would correct my thinking. It seems to me that once the healer has become properly balanced and unblocked with respect to energy centers, it is possible for him to act in some way as a collector and focuser of light, the same way that, or analogous to the way that a pyramid works, taking or collecting light through the left hand and emitting it through the right. This then somehow penetrating the first and seventh chakra envelope, vibratory envelope, you might say, of the body, and allowing for the realignment of energy centers of the entity to be healed. I'm quite sure that I am not exactly correct on this, and possibly considerably off. Could you rearrange my thinking so that it makes sense? Ra, I am Ra. You are correct in your assumption that the crystallized healer is analogous to the pyramidal action of the King's Chamber position. There are a few adjustments we might suggest. Firstly, the energy which is used is brought into the field complex of the healer by the outstretched hand used in a polarized sense. However, this energy circulates through the various points of energy to the base of the spine and to a certain extent the feet, thus coming through the main energy centers of the healer, spiraling through the feet, turning at the red energy center towards a spiral at the yellow energy center, and passes through the green energy center in a microcosm of the King's Chamber energy configuration of prana. This then continuing for the third spiral through the blue energy center and being sent therefrom through the gateway back to intelligent infinity. It is from the green center that the healing prana moves into the polarized healing right hand, and therefrom to the one to be healed. We may note that there are some who use the yellow ray configuration to transfer energy, and this may be done, but the effects are quite questionable, and with regards to the relationship between the healer, the healing energy, and the seeker, questionable due to the propensity for the seeker to continue requiring such energy transfers without any true healing taking place in the absence of the healer, due to the lack of penetration of the armoring shell of which you spoke. Questioner: Now, a wanderer who has an origin from 5th or 6th density can attempt such a healing and have little or no result. This indicates to me that there is some function of the activated body, since the... Can you tell me what the wanderer has lost and why it is necessary for him to regain certain balances and abilities to perfect his healing ability? Ra: I am Ra. You may see the wanderers as the infant attempting to verbalize the sound complexes of your peoples. The memory of the ability to communicate is within the infant's undeveloped mind complex, but the ability to practice or manifest this, called speech, is not immediately forthcoming due to the limitations of the mind-body-spirit complex it has chosen to be a part of in this experience. So, it is with the wanderer which, remembering the ease with which adjustments can be made in the home density, yet still have entered 3rd density, cannot manifest that memory due to the limitation of the chosen experience. The chance of a wanderer being able to heal in 3rd density are only more than those native to this density because the desire to serve may be stronger and this method of service chosen. Questioner: What about the ones with the dual, not the wanderers, but the harvested and dual activated 3rd and 4th density body entities? Are they able to heal using the techniques that we have discussed? Ra: I am Ra. In many cases this is so, but as beginners of 4th density, the desire may not be present. Questioner: I am assuming then that we have a wanderer with the desire attempting to learn the techniques of healing while, shall I say, trapped in the 3rd density. He then, it seems to me, is primarily concerned with the balancing and unblocking of energy centers. Am I correct in this assumption? Ra: I am Ra. This is correct. Only insofar as the healer has become balanced may it be a channel for the balancing of the other self. The healing is first practiced upon the self, if we may say this in another way. Questioner: Now, as the healer approaches another self to do the healing, we have a situation where the other self has, through programming of catalyst, possibly created a condition which is viewed as a condition needing healing. What is the situation, and what are the ramifications of the healer acting upon a condition of programmed catalyst to bring about healing? Am I correct in assuming that in doing this healing, the programmed catalyst is useful to the one to be healed, and that the one to be healed then becomes aware of what it wished to become aware of in the programming the catalyst? Is this correct? Ra: I am correct. Your thinking cannot be said to be completely incorrect, but shows a rigidity which is not apparent in the flow of the experiential use of catalyst. The role of the healer is to offer an opportunity for realignment or aid in realignment of either energy centers, or some connection between the energy of mind and body, spirit and mind, or spirit and body. This latter is very rare. The seeker will then have the reciprocal opportunity to accept a novel view of the self, a variant arrangement of patterns of energy influx. If the entity, at any level, desires to remain in the configuration of distortion, which seems to need healing, it will do so. If, upon the other hand, the seeker chooses the novel configuration, it is done through free will. This is one great difficulty with other forms of energy transfer, in that they do not carry through the process of free will, as this process is not native to yellow ray. Questioner: What is the difference, philosophically, between a mind-body-spirit complex healing itself through mental, shall I say, configuration, or it being healed by a healer? Ra: I am Ra. You have a misconception. The healer does not heal. The crystallized healer is a channel for the intelligent energy which offers an opportunity to an entity that it might heal itself. In no case is there another description of healing. Therefore, there is no difference as long as the healer never approaches one whose request for aid has not come to it previously. This is also true of the more conventional healers of your culture, and if these healers could but fully realize that they are responsible only for offering the opportunity of healing and not for the healing, many of these entities would feel an enormous load of misconceived responsibility fall from them. Questioner: then in seeking healing, a mind-body-spirit complex would then be seeking, in some cases, a source of gathered and focused light energy. This source could be another mind-body-spirit complex sufficiently crystallized for this purpose, or the pyramid shape, or possibly something else. Is this correct? Ra: I am Ra. These are some of the ways an entity may seek healing, yes. Questioner: could you tell me the other ways that an entity could seek healing? Ra: I am Ra. Perhaps the greatest healer is within the self, and may be tapped with continued meditation as we have suggested. The many forms of healing available to your peoples each have virtue, and may be deemed appropriate by any seeker who wishes to alter the physical complex distortions, or some connection between the various portions of the mind-body-spirit complex thereby. Questioner: I have observed many activities known as psychic surgery in the area of the Philippine Islands. It was my assumption that these healers are providing what I would call a training aid, or a way of creating a reconfiguration of the mind of the patient to be healed as the relatively naive patient observes the action of the healer in seeing the materialized blood, etc., then reconfigures the roots of mind to believe, you might say, the healing is done, and therefore heals himself. Is this analysis that I made correct? Ra: I am Ra. This is correct. We may speak slightly further upon this type of opportunity. There are times when the malcondition to be altered is without emotional, mental, or spiritual interest to the entity, and is merely that which has, perhaps by chance, genetic arrangements occurred. In these cases, that which is apparently dematerialized will remain dematerialized, and may be observed as so by any observer. The malcondition, which has an emotional, mental, or spiritual charge, is likely not to remain dematerialized in the sense of the showing of the object referent to the observer. However, if the opportunity has been taken by the seeker, the apparent malcondition of the physical complex will be at a variance with the actual health, as you call this distortion, of the seeker, and the lack of experiencing the distortions which the object referent would suggest still held sway. For instance, in this instrument, the removal of 3 small cysts was the removal of material having no interest in the entity. Thus, these growths remained dematerialized after the so-called psychic surgery experience. In other psychic surgery, the kidney of this instrument were carefully offered a new configuration of beingness, which the entity embraced. However, this particular portion of the mind-body-spirit complex carried a great deal of emotional, mental, and spiritual charge due to this distorted functioning being the cause of a great illness in a certain configuration of events, which culminated in this entity's conscious decision to be of service. Therefore, any objective scanning of this entity's renal complex would indicate the rather extreme dysfunctional aspect which it showed previous to the psychic surgery experience, as you call it. The key is not in the continuation of the dematerialization of distortion to the eye of the beholder, but rather lies in the choosing of the newly materialized configuration which exists in time-space. Questioner: would you explain that last comment about the configuration in time-space? Ra: I am Ra. Healing is done in the time-space portion of the mind-body-spirit complex, is adopted by the form-making or etheric body, and is then given to the space-time physical illusion for use in the activated yellow ray mind-body-spirit complex. It is the adoption of the configuration which you call health by the etheric body in the time-space, which is the key to what you call health, not any event which occurs in the space-time. In this process, you may see the trans-dimensional aspect of what you call will, for it is the will, the seeking, the desire of the entity which causes the indigo body to use the novel configuration and to reform the body which exists in space-time. This is done in an instant and may be said to operate without regards to time. We may note that in the healing of very young children, there is often an apparent healing by the healer, in which the young entity has no part. This is never so, for the mind-body-spirit complex in time-space is always capable of willing the distortion it chooses for experience, no matter what the apparent age, as you call it, of the entity. Questioner: is this desire and will that operates through to the time-space section a function only of the entity who is healed? Or is it also the function of the healer, the crystallized healer? Ra: I am Ra. May we take this opportunity to say that this is the activity of the Creator. To specifically answer your query, the crystallized healer has no will. It offers an opportunity without attachment to the outcome, for it is aware that all is one and that the Creator is knowing itself. Questioner: then the desire must be strong within the mind-body-spirit complex who seeks healing to be healed in order for the healing to occur. Is this correct? Ra: I am Ra. This is correct on one level or another. An entity may not consciously seek healing and yet subconsciously be aware of the need to experience the new set of distortions which result from healing. Similarly, an entity may consciously desire healing greatly, but within the being, at some level, find some cause whereby certain configurations which seem quite distorted are, in fact, at that level, considered appropriate. Questioner: I assume that the reason for assuming the distortions appropriate would be that these distortions would aid the entity in its reaching its ultimate objective, which is a movement along the path of evolution in the desired polarity. Is this correct? Ra: I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner: then in the case of an entity who becomes aware of its polarization with respect to service to others, it might find a paradoxical situation in the case where it was unable to fully serve because of distortions chosen to reach that understanding which it has reached. At this point, it would seem that the entity who was aware of the mechanism might, through meditation, understand the necessary mental configuration for alleviating the physical distortion, so that it could be of greater service to others at this particular nexus. Am I correct in this thinking? Ra: I am Ra. You are correct, although we might note that there are often complex reasons for the programming of a distorted physical complex pattern. In any case, meditation is always an aid to knowing the self. Questioner: is a vertical positioning of the spine useful or helpful in the meditative procedures? Ra: I am Ra. It is somewhat helpful. Questioner: I have a written question, 2 of them actually. The first is, would you please list the polarities within the body which are related to the balancing of the energy centers of the various bodies of the unmanifested entity? Ra: I am Ra. In this query there lies a great deal of thought which we appreciate. It is possible that the question itself may serve to aid meditations upon this particular subject. Each unmanifested self is unique. The basic polarities have to do with the balanced vibratory rates and relationships between the first 3 energy centers and, to a lesser extent, each of the other energy centers. May we answer more specifically? Questioner: possibly in the next session. We will expand on that. I would like to ask the second question. What are the structures and contents of the archetypal mind, and how does the archetypal mind function in informing the intuition and conscious mind of an individual mind-body-spirit complex? Ra: I am Ra. You must realize that we offered these concepts to you so that you might grow in your own knowledge of the self through the consideration of them. We would prefer, especially for this latter query, to listen to the observations upon this subject which the student of these exercises may make, and then suggest further avenues of the refinement of these inquiries. We feel we might be of more aid in this way. Questioner: you mentioned that an energizing spiral is emitted from the top of any pyramid, and that you could benefit by placing this under the head for a period of 30 minutes or less. Can you tell me how this third spiral is helpful, and what help it gives the entity who is receiving it? Ra: I am Ra. There are substances which you may ingest which cause the physical vehicle to experience distortion towards an increase of energy. These substances are crude, working rather roughly upon the bodily complex, increasing the flow of adrenaline. The vibration offered by the energizing spiral of the pyramid is such that each cell, both in space-time and time-space, is charged as if hooked to your electricity. The keenness of mind, the physical and sexual energies of the body, and the attunement of will of spirit are all touched by this energizing influence. It may be used in any of these ways. It is possible to overcharge a battery, and this is the cause of our cautioning any who use the pyramidal energies to remove the pyramid after a charge has been received. Questioner: is there a best material or optimal size for the small pyramid to go beneath the head? Ra: I am Ra. Given that the proportions are such as to develop the spirals in the Giza pyramid, the most appropriate size for use beneath the head is an overall height small enough to make placing it under the cushion of the head a comfortable thing. Questioner: there's no best material? Ra: I am Ra. There are better materials which are, in your system of barter, quite dear. They are not that much better than substances which we have mentioned before. The only incorrect substances would be the baser metals. Questioner: now, you mentioned the problems with the action in the king's chamber of the Giza-type pyramid. I am assuming if we use the same geometrical configuration that is used at the pyramid at Giza, this would be perfectly all right for the pyramid placed beneath the head, since we wouldn't be using the king's chamber radiations, but only the third spiral from the top. And I'm also asking, would it be better to use a 60-degree apex angle than a larger apex angle? Would it provide a better energy source? Ra: I am Ra. For energy through the apex angle, the Giza pyramid offers an excellent model. Simply be sure the pyramid is so small that there is no entity small enough to crawl inside of it. Questioner: I assume that this energy then, this spiraling light energy, is somehow absorbed by the energy field of the body. Is this somehow connected to the indigo energy center? Am I correct in this guess? Ra: I am Ra. This is incorrect. The properties of this energy are such as to move within the field of the physical complex and irradiate each cell of the space-time body, and, as this is done, irradiate also the time-space equivalent which is closely aligned with the space-time yellow ray body. This is not a function of the etheric body or of free will. This is a radiation much like your sun's rays. Thus, it should be used with care. Questioner: how many applications of 30 minutes or less during a diurnal period would be appropriate? Ra: I am Ra. In most cases, no more than one. In a few cases, especially where the energy will be useful for spiritual work, experimentation with 2 shorter periods might be possible, but any feeling of sudden weariness would be a sure sign that the entity had been over-radiated. Questioner: can this energy help in any way as far as healing of physical distortions? Ra: I am Ra. There is no application for direct healing using this energy, although, if used in conjunction with meditation, it may offer to a certain percentage of entities some aid in meditating. In most cases, it is most helpful in alleviating weariness and in the stimulation of physical or sexual activity. Questioner: in a transition from 3rd to 4th density, we have 2 other possibilities other than the type that we are experiencing now. We have the possibility of a totally positive polarized harvest and the possibility of a totally negatively polarized harvest that I understand have occurred elsewhere in the universe many times. When there is a totally negatively polarized harvest, when a whole planet, that is, has negatively polarized and makes the transition from 3rd to 4th density, does the planet have the experience of the distortions of disease that this planet now experiences prior to that transition? Ra: I am Ra. You are perceptive. The negative harvest is one of intense disharmony, and the planet will express this. Questioner: the planet has a certain set of conditions prior to transition into 4th density, that is in late 3rd density, and then the conditions are different in early 4th density. Could you give me an example of a negatively polarized planet and the conditions in late 3rd density and early 4th density so that I can see how they change? Ra: I am Ra. The vibrations from 3rd to 4th density change on a negatively oriented planet precisely as they do upon a positively oriented planet. With 4th density negative comes many abilities and possibilities of which you are familiar. The 4th density is more dense, and it is more difficult to hide the true vibration of the mind-body-spirit complex. This enables 4th density negatives, as well as positives, the chance to form social memory complexes. It enables negatively oriented entities the opportunity for a different set of parameters with which to show their powers over others and to be of service to the self. The conditions are the same as the vibrations are concerned. Questioner: I was concerned about the amount of physical distortions, disease, and that sort of thing in third density negative just before the harvest and in fourth density negative just after harvest or in transition. What are the conditions of the physical problems, disease, etc. at late third density negative? I am Ra. Each planetary experience is unique. The problems, shall we say, of bellicose actions are more likely to be of pressing concern to late third density negative entities at the Earth's reaction to negativity of the planetary mind, for it is often by such warlike attitudes on a global scale that the necessary negative polarization is achieved. As fourth density occurs, there is a new planet and a new physical vehicle system gradually expressing itself, and the parameters of bellicose actions become those of thought rather than manifested weapons. Questioner: Well, then is physical disease and illness as we know it on this planet rather widespread on a third density negative planet just before harvest into fourth density negative? Ra: I am Ra. Physical complex distortions of which you speak are likely to be less found as fourth density negative begins to be a probable choice of harvest due to the extreme interest in the self which characterizes the harvestable third density negative entity. Much more care is taken of the physical body as well as much more discipline being offered to the self mentally. This is an orienting of great self-interest and self-discipline. There are still instances of this type of disease which are associated with the mind complex distortions of negative emotions such as anger. However, in a harvestable entity, these emotional distortions are much more likely to be used as catalysts in an expressive and destructive sense as regards to objects of anger. Questioner: I'm trying to understand the way that disease and bodily distortions are generated with respect to polarities, both positive and negative. It seems that they are generated in some way to create the split or polarization, that they have a function in creating the original polarization that occurs in the third density. Is this correct? Ra: I am Ra. This is not precisely correct. Distortions of the bodily or mental complexes are those distortions found in beings which have need of experiences which aid in polarizations. These polarizations may be those of entities which have already chosen the path or polarization to be followed. It is more likely for positively oriented individuals to be experiencing distortions within the physical complex due to the lack of consuming interest in the self and the emphasis on service to others. Moreover, in an unpolarized entity, catalyst of the physical distortion nature will be generated at random. The hopeful result is, as you say, the original choice of polarity. Oftentimes this choice is not made, but the catalyst continues to be generated. In the negatively oriented individual, the physical body is likely to be more carefully tended and the mind disciplined against physical distortions. Questioner: This planet, to me, seems to be what I would call a cesspool of distortions. This includes all diseases and malfunctions of the physical body in general. It would seem to me that, on the average, this planet would be very, very high on the list if we just took the overall amount of these problems. Is my feeling correct in this assumption? Ra: I am Ra. We will review previous material. Catalyst is offered to the entity. If it is not used by the mind complex, it will then filter through to the body complex and manifest as some form of physical distortion. The more efficient the use of catalyst, the less physical distortion to be found. There are, in many cases of those you call wanderers, not only a congenital difficulty in dealing with this third density vibratory patterns, but also a recollection, however dim, that these distortions are not necessary or usual in the home vibration. We overgeneralize as always, for there are many cases of pre-incarnative decisions which result in the physical or mental limitations and distortions. But we feel that you are addressing the question of widespread distortions towards misery of one form or another. Indeed, on some third density planetary spheres, catalyst has been used more efficiently. In the case of your planetary sphere, there is much inefficient use of catalyst and, therefore, much physical distortion. We have enough energy available for one query at this time. Questioner: Then I will ask if there is anything that we can do to make this instrument more comfortable or improve the contact. Ra: I am Ra. Continue as always in love. All is well. You are conscientious. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai. So good. Such good stuff. So again, Law of One, session 66, a lot going on. We're going to cover a few things, got some questions, and then we'll do the live when I close out. I'll drop the link, and whoever can join in. We'll do that for a little while. Healthy living equals healthy life. What my point is so many people try to get you focused into this negative thinking level. Like, oh, the sky's falling, or, oh, this horrible thing's going to happen. Oh my God. Like, and what is better to look at is, where are we trying to go? What are we trying to accomplish? What kind of life am I hoping to have? Like, that is thinking that actually gets us moving in the direction that we hopefully collectively can go. And if we can do that together, we're gonna make a wonderful world. Let's see. Healing requires others to agree. It does. So people that are doing healing, it's like, you can't just walk up to people and be like, you're healed. If they're not at a place where they're literally, not consciously necessarily, it can be subconscious. Okay. It can be spiritually, it can be higher up. But if they're not okay with that, because some people are here to live that life. That's a karma maybe, or whatever. Like, we don't just live one life. Sorry. So that could be part of that. Age does not matter. Higher self always involved. So even children, we have a higher self as a part of it. Guardian angels, even sometimes if we need something easier to believe in. So there's always some help guiding us. Pyramid charging. Just be careful not to over radiate. So you can put pyramids like under a bed or something like that, but you don't want to just sleep with it. A lot of people are going to do that. Anything more than 30 minutes, they're saying, is too much. 30 minutes, perfect. That's all you need. It's like keeping your cell phone charged in. You don't want to like ruin the battery, right? So like a lot of us will be like, well, no, it's charged. I want to unplug it. Well, then don't leave a pyramid lying under you while you're sleeping. That's not good. So there's that. I think I did that for a while, by the way. Distortions that we accept as normal. A lot of us have had a bad situation going on in our life for so long that we just accept that as normal. But that's the thing. Like, how can we think of a better way? What would be better? Think of better. What would better be? Would you be living in a different place? Would it be larger? Would you have a view? Like, imagine what you would like to experience and watch what happens. It is weird. And so many people don't get it. It's literally that simple. And that's what a lot of us need to learn how to do, is to think properly. And so, yeah. So a lot of us accept things in our lives, unhealthiness and certain things. That it's like, well, it's always been like that. I've always had a limp. I've had a limp since 27. Right? Like, all right. I mean, but you don't have to, right? Right? You don't have to have that. Like, people talk about med beds, right? You don't have to be sick. So that's it. I don't know. We got some questions. All right. I'll shut up. Ruwalt asks a question. Is it possible to be a wanderer and not know it, or possible to never know? Sure. To both of those, yeah, it's definitely possible to be a wanderer and not know it. How would you know? It's one of those things where you kind of come to it or you don't. There's a level. I think it was Dan Millman. I don't know. They called it the Great Leap. I just feel like when you go from the third chakra to the fourth, to the heart chakra, to feeling, to when that leap to loving something and doing it because it just feels right, is a powerful leap. And when we make it in life, there's ways it can manifest. But when that happens, it's life-changing. So, yeah, there's levels. There's every one of us has more to do, probably. And if we haven't done it already, we might need to. And maybe there's something that's nagging at you. That might be the way to go. Just saying. Maggie, question. We have the remedy to heal cancer and other illnesses that are being withheld. Will they be available in the near future, or do you think it will be much later? I think you have the ability to heal yourself right now, Maggie. And that's what I keep talking about is there's people, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you represent a great example, is there's people that put the healing outside of themselves. Med beds, this ability to heal us, like fix me. But the problem is the fixing of you would come from the inside. You would fix you. And when you fix you, you're actually going to heal through that process. and likely even maybe come across a med bed. Someone might be like, hey, we're doing this study and you're the perfect person for a med bed. And you're going to be like, no way. Like, I just started doing this stuff and this meditation and oh my God. Like, you wouldn't sound like that. I don't think Maggie talks like that. But I'm just saying, Maggie, I think your question's maybe in the wrong direction. I think you can heal yourself more than you realize and sell yourself short. And that's really, really, really the important part. Tattoo Tammy, question. What's the translation for Adonai? That's a great question. I think it's like life be with, spirit be with you, God be with you. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of in that like love to you, bless to you, blessings kind of thing. But I actually don't know for sure. We could look it up. I mean, but that's what it feels like to me. I don't know about you. I'd be curious actually what you think, right? Ted, doesn't kind of have that kind of vibe to it? Like, anyway, maybe I'm trying to just push it into your mind. All said. September question. Can you please clarify catalyst? Catalyst is so in like chemistry. Sometimes if something's like this is an easy example. If it's in cold water, it won't react. It'll take forever to react. But if you heat it up a little bit, you make the water a little warmer, all of a sudden it starts reacting really fast. Or if I add like salt or something crazy into it, all of a sudden it gets crazy and this reaction happens. That's called a catalyst. It's a thing that speeds up change. And really that's what it is. In thermodynamics, you're basically transferring an energy is what it really is. But you're speeding up change is what a catalyst does. Under normal circumstances, it speeds up change. And so very important when it comes to us getting to the next place. Now, the tricky part is catalyst is unique to you for the most part. There are some larger events, but even if you sit and talk to other people about what's going on, a good example, politics these days, and I'm not going to get too specific, but, depending on how you feel about the current president, some people are very different about that, but that's the reality of right now. Not everybody feels the same way about it. And so it's not this weird, everybody's got their own reality that they're in. Literally. And you can change your reality. And by changing your reality and thinking about the bigger reality, you can actually affect that, which is really what I'm trying to get a lot of you guys to understand, is how big a part you play in that. Hey, we got a thing coming and we can actually come together and make a shield around the planet or something crazy. Just to give an example. Hopefully it's something cooler than that. But my point is, that's what you guys and all of us can do. We're way more powerful than we give ourselves credit. That's what this is about. So can we clarify catalyst? What's going on today, September? That's what's going on. I love you guys. We're going to close out. I'm going to have you guys, we'll host for, 20 minutes or so. We'll see if there's any major questions, but I got my lovely lady downstairs and we're going to have dinner and looking forward to it. It's raining outside. We're going to grill in the rain. Yeah. At least there's very little chance of fire, but yeah, it'll be fun. I don't know, whatever the case is. I got some chicken. She's got some, I don't know, fish or something. I don't know what the hell she brought over, frankly, to be honest. I didn't smell it, so it's probably not fish. All said. We'll hang out. We'll put the in the chat of the Rumble chat. We're going to go ahead and put the link to this StreamYard. Whoever can get in there. I love you guys, and we'll do exactly that. So, yeah, where we go one, we go all for sure. But definitely Law of One is about how we impacted this as an individual. How you utilize that flashlight. Don't point it right in people's eyes. Rule number one, right? Like there's rules to it. It's not simple, but come on. Like you should, it's fun, but doesn't work. All said, I love you guys. We're ending the stream. I'll see you guys, the few of you that make it over afterwards. Thank you. On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.
Meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a big bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The big bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.